afternoon, Mimi.
Hi, Hanim. I'm fine. How about you?
Good, thank you. For our members and listeners out there, my name is Hanim Jain. I'm the founder of Women in Fashion, and today I'm interviewing for our blog series, Inspirational Women in Fashion, a very special lady and a very inspiring lady, Mimi Lamote. Welcome, Mimi.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's get to know you a little bit. Could you just share with us your background?
Okay. Years ago, I started, first I started my career in the financial area, which I did not like. And let's say after 1 or 2 years, I made a short business case study program in Harvard. And at that time, I was hired by CNA.
Right.
And I started CNA. That was for me the real beginning of my career as what they called a commercial executive. And CNA, I think they still do that. They offer really a big training program for new people. Mm-hmm. So I got a glimpse from district management. I got a glimpse from the logistics center, and I got a glimpse from the buying. And after my, training time of, I think it's a bit more than 1 year, I started as a buyer in the children division wear of CNA. Mm-hmm. And I was, during, I think 7-8 years, I have been a buyer, first in the children division and then in the ladies. Then I moved with the organization to Düsseldorf, where I became responsible for buying a group of garments. Your Sixens was the name then, for ladies for Europe. And I remained there until I became a district manager in Belgium again. And at that time, I was able also, thanks to CNA, to get a master in retail management. And at the end of that master, I became general manager of Belgium, Luxembourg in CNA. So I did that for 5 years, after which I was headhunted for a Belgian private equity who had a share in a Belgium retailer and who wanted to make that retailer expanding to other countries. I went there for a short while, but the task where I was hired for did not roll out like we all wanted. And after that, when I left, I went to the hospital area. And I worked a couple of years in a very quite big hospital group in Belgium, the biggest, I suppose. And there I was responsible, because of my customer background, for everything which was not medical, COO, so that was catering, housekeeping, communication, HR, buying, facility, to make the whole group more patient customer oriented. That was the most difficult part of my career, I must say. That was not an easy one. But I missed the commercial world, because if you work in a hospital world, everything goes quite slowly. Long term is like 25 years and short term is like 5 years. So I was not used to that. So I went back to, the commercial area to Amsterdam. And there I became vice president of European countries, not all, but the Nordic countries and Italy and France and Belgium, for Grand Vision. Grand Vision is, I think, the largest optical retailer in the world. They are now being almost bought or already bought by Luxottica Essilor, but Grand Vision has in almost all the countries in the world, they have optical retailers. In Belgium, it's known as Pearl, in Germany as Apollo. You have them in all the countries. And there I was responsible for a number of countries where the local management teams reported to their vice president and where they checked and discussed about their strategy. So it was a very, very interesting job, because you saw what all the countries were doing and you could share all the learnings of all the countries. Unfortunately, That job ended after 3 years because there was a new CEO, and then things changed. Probably listeners will recognize that when there's a new CEO on board, a lot can change in the management team. So I changed. And after that, I went back to Belgium to an industrial organization, Beaulieu International Group, where I became the chief marketing officer of the group. Beaulieu is a very large industrial player, global player in different continents, different products from flooring to technical textiles to chemicals. And there I was responsible for everything what had to do with marketing. And there we also looked into the new digital world, which is also very important if you're in an industrial area, let's say. But again, after a couple of years, the CEO changed, and I knew the time was ready that the management team would change. And at that moment, that's like almost 5 years ago, I was hired by the company where I work now, Mayerline, by the owner of Mayerline, is a Belgian holding in retailing. And again, I was asked to become the CEO of a very small Belgian brand, but a very beautiful brand, Mayerline, a ladies brand, to realize a turnaround. Like I did in CNA, I had to do a turnaround. So at the moment, I'm at the end of my 4th year. The turnaround happened right before Corona, and now we have to redo it again.
Excellent. Like the rest of the world. So
like the rest of the world.
Nothing special there. I mean, not personal at least. So that's a big job. And what are the key elements in your function?
The key elements, first of all, I have to propose to the owners a strategy for the next 2-3 years. I make that strategy together with my management team. And when I get the okay, because there is also CapEx and there are plans with it, then we execute it. And so the second plan, once the strategy is agreed and confirmed, we communicate that to the whole company. And we do it together with groups, because you have to get everybody in the same direction. And you need the skills and talents of everybody to realize it. So after the communication, you start the implementation. And then you have to adapt where necessary.
Yeah.
And that's the main task of my job. Strategy, implement, adapting again, budgeting. Like all CEOs are doing.
That's a great short and sharp explanation. And so tell me, do you have a daily routine for yourself? Like, do you get up at 5 a.m., go to the gym? What is your routine?
My routine, when I never get up so early, because I'm more an evening person than a morning person, but I get up around 7, 7:15. And my first moment, it's not meditating, but it's a bit like meditating. I have chickens in my garden, and I take like 15 minutes to feed my chickens and to watch them. Wow. And that makes me very calm. That's getting the peace of the world into me. And then when I'm back, I quickly get dressed. I never go in my clothing to my chickens because that could be ruined. I get dressed, I grab my breakfast. And then while I get dressed in the bathroom, I start looking to the results of the day before. And now it's nice again, but in Corona time, that was not a nice job. But now it's nice again to watch the results of the day before. And then when I get behind my screen, very often I congratulate the shops with the highest results, because some of them are doing remarkably good. And then I start looking to my day list. Every day I make a to-do list with way too many points. But when I do like 70% of it, I did a great job. And I point out on my day list which points are urgent and which are strategic. And often I start with the urgent points because they have to get out of my mind.
Yeah.
And then I go more to the strategic points. That's mostly a day. And then I also have some calls during the day.
Sure.
In the beginning of the week, it's always the same, Monday, Tuesday, or like the meeting days. Often nowadays it's a digital meeting, but
Yes.
I start again to go to the office. So on Monday or Tuesday, I'm in the office. So instead of going to my desk, I drive to the office.
Yeah.
And then I'm the whole day having meetings in the office. And in the evening, I go home. When I go home with a car, okay, I cannot do anything. When I go home with the train, and I will start doing that again, I do all my mails of the day on the train. And that's so nice because when you come home, many of the mails you've seen, because during the day you don't have time for mails, and then you know what is urgent, and yeah, you can give quick answers. And voila, that's like a day. What I also do once a week, I have one day that I go in the field.
Right.
And I mean, I visit stores, I visit competition, I have a chat with the people in the stores because, yeah, they know everything. They know way more than people in headquarters.
Absolutely. That is so critical in our business, especially when you're having a physical retail business. Tell me, Mimi, what advice would you give to someone that is looking to follow in your footsteps?
I give one big advice. If you feel uncertain, it's totally normal. And uncertainty will always be there from a young age until a quite older age. So, but I know it's not nice. Often I feel uncertain, but then I look back to the points that I did well. That's for me very important because I know a lot of people have that. And I know this is not such a nice thing. Second advice, and that I learned very fast when I was in CNA, I had a coach at that time, and he said to me, if you have a very tough job, your spontaneous thing would be to do everything else, and you will forget yourself. That will be very spontaneous, and that's very stupid. You have to think of a way how to keep yourself strong, because if you are not strong, you cannot make the others stronger nor your company stronger. So I'm still living his advice. That's something which in the past, I thought it was egoistic to say, no, first myself, not a whole week, but on certain moments. And now I know it's necessary often to survive your own life.
So how do you make yourself strong? That's a good point. I love that.
For me, that's exercising. I like to do once or twice a week, 1 hour heavy physical exercises, and that's good for my mental health. Or on Sunday, the whole Sunday morning I go biking, and yeah, that's important for me. And if I don't manage to do that, because I try to do that in the evening, but sometimes, yeah, I have a meeting and I can't. Well, in the past, I never would do that. I say, okay, from 8 to 9, I have my physical exercise. And my day starts then at 10 instead of 8:30.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Critical. Two really good points. If we look into your wardrobe, what kind of brands, fashion brands, would we see there?
Mayerline.
Of course.
Yeah, you will see a lot of Mayerline. That's true. Most of, because this is normal. If somebody asks to me, they will never say, oh, you have a nice dress. Which brand is it? They will say, is this a brand? Is this of Mayerline? And if at that moment I would say, no, it's from a competitor, it's not so nice.
Absolutely.
So most of my clothes that I have or that I wear is Mayerline. I like it. It's a very good fitting. I don't mind. But of course, I have also, from when I did not work yet for Mayerline, I also have clothes from other brands, other Belgian brands, other international brands. I'm thinking, no, I have quite some Danish brands that I liked. I don't recall the name now. And of course, I also still have clothes from CNA in my cupboard because they never, what can I say? They are never used until the end. Quality.
Excellent. What would you say was the best advice you ever had from someone else?
Yeah, like I said, the stay strong for me was a very, very important advice. And another very good advice, I've trained myself with an external company to become a coach, a business coach. And there I learned, and that was very, very important for me. I learned that your own values, everybody has own personal values. Often you get them during your education, during your childhood, but you have to stay with your personal values. And if these values don't match with the values of the company that you work for, or even with the values of your boss that you work for, forget it. That was a very good advice because, like I said, I was very sad once when I had to change because of a CEO switch, and that happens in all companies. So this is not like a secret. And I was really asking myself, what did I do wrong? Because I had good figures and I did my job in a very good way because I always work like that. And I only found out during this coaching that my values did not correspond to the values of my boss. And yeah, both of you, yeah, when there is not a match on values, it's very, very difficult.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the worst advice that someone has ever given to you?
That's also one that I live. The worst advice is once you are a person who is a bit known, people advise you to keep everything for yourself and not to do sparing moments with others, or not to share your thoughts or reflections. And yeah, I was advised not to do that because people would start gossiping. That was a very stupid advice. I think it's wise when you have like an idea or when you have a proposal that you speak with people who know your area and who know you, not people who want to flatter you, and also not people who want to save you, but people who are like an honest sparring partner. It's good to consult, to spare. That's something that I would recommend to everybody. Don't keep it for yourself. One and one is always more than two.
Is it something typical that we as women tend to do? Or we're not very good?
I don't know. What I think is more typical for women is what I started with, to feel uncertain.
Yes, that's for sure.
That is so typical women.
Yes.
My husband says that often to me when I start like, would I do this? Can I do that? He said, okay, there you are again. Yeah. Look back, look what you did. And now you should be uncertain. And he's right. But for me, that's typically female, to feel uncertain or to feel that somebody else, and that's mostly a man, knows way more than you do. Maybe he knows more in other areas, but you know a lot in your own area.
Absolutely. And that's one of the free masterclasses that we actually at Women in Fashion have developed. We call it imposter syndrome. This is an English word for it. And it's amazing how many successful women I have interviewed these last few weeks, like yourself, and how common it is. And no matter what age, and we all have it, and we still keep having it. And
I know.
And this is something that Tanya and I are very passionate about, that we really that's one of the key things that we want to give as a message and support women in fashion in this group. Because first of all, you have to talk about it. We don't talk about it enough. We're scared, or we are embarrassed. We need to talk about it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And also there are ways of how you can improve it.
Yeah. You just, for me, one of the major things is just look back what you did. And then you will know, yeah, you realized quite a lot. So yeah, it's true.
Thank you so much, Mimi. I love chatting to you. You are, as I said, a very inspirational woman and a very accomplished woman. And I hope to chat to you in the near future about some other topics. Have a
You're
lovely
welcome,
day.
honey. Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.